Oh, guys. Oh, guys. You know what time it is? You know what time it is? It's not time for Christmas stream. It's time for Thanksgiving stream with our good old friend, extremely old, old friend, Dennis
Hi,
Prager.
everybody. Dennis Prager here, the Fireside Chat with Otto. Actually, it's getting to the point where it's Otto, and Otto is with Dennis. I, but that's fine with me.
Guys, you can have 3 secrets for prostate health.
All right. Oh, there he is. Oh, good to see you. Yes. Otto.
I can't wait, guys. I can't wait. This first section already, be wary of experts. He's going to tell you that you shouldn't listen to experts who are telling you not to die from COVID-19. Also, Zapata Vakur, thank you very much for hitting that follow button. I appreciate it immensely, comrade. Let's go! Now, I'm going to guess most of this video is going to be telling you that you shouldn't believe experts who are trying to save your lives from COVID-19. And then, oh yeah, I think most of this video is going, yeah, Dennis always took risks and lived fully. It's going to be about how he's a daredevil and he doesn't care if he infects his loved ones and kills them. And on top of that, we're going to learn about how leftists are joy kills. We kill joy. This is going to be fun. This is going to be fun.
Is a source of calm. I'm a source of calm too, happily. It's my nature. You know, you're born with a nature. In the book of Drama Queen, I'm on the opposite side. It's not a brag. It's just you got to know your nature. And if you are a drama queen, then you got to work on yourself. I had to work on other things in my nature, but that was not one of them. But he's not a drama queen. His brother is. His brother is hyperventilating a good part of the time. So hi everybody, welcome to the Fireside Chat. What number is this?
162.
162. Amazing. I want to talk to you about Thanksgiving, and especially of Thanksgiving this year, where the experts, whenever I read, this may not reflect well on me in your mind, but I'm willing to risk it. When I see experts say, I immediately assume that what I am about to hear is foolish. Just for the record. That doesn't mean it all.
Yeah, I want idiots telling me what to do. That's the Dennis Prager way. That's how we made our entire fake university.
Always is. I'm just telling you that if I had to bet on it, I bet something truly stupid is about to follow. Because it's not experts say the way in which, let's say, a disease. So if experts say the virus works in the following way with regard to RNA, let's say, then I assume it's true. But as soon as there is a statement about society or about what they suggest, I assume it's going to be truly dumb.
What? So, if a doctor tells you to do something, Dennis Prager, do you just assume your doctor's a moron? What? I honestly don't. Uh, okay, first off, we need to definitely speed this up. But second off, this is Dennis Prager just saying that you shouldn't believe what your doctor tells you to do if you don't like what your doctor says.
I am right most of the time, unfortunately. So the latest is experts say, followed by the sheep of the media and of the politicians, many, not all by any means, is lockdown. So, for example, where I live, just perfect that Thanksgiving is Thursday, and as of Wednesday, All restaurants are in lockdown. You can't even eat outside in my county where I live, Los Angeles County. So more restaurants will be put out of business. More waiters and waitresses and cooks and people who clean up will be out of work. And this doesn't mean a thing to the fools and the tyrants who say you can't do this. I personally would violate all these laws if I have any chance to. And with regard to Thanksgiving,
wait, Dennis Prager, why would you violate these laws and not the laws that say you shouldn't rape people? This is, again, Dennis Prager, who famously said that the only thing preventing him from raping was the rule of law. Also, SJ, thank you very much for hitting that follow button. I appreciate it. On top of that, does Dennis Prager not understand how, like, this pandemic works? The experts are saying, like, hey, this thing is airborne. Like, you can spread it by talking out of your mouth if you're infected with it. If you are infected with it, it can go long distances due to talking or coughing or whatever. And it's carried in water droplets. So if you have cases spiking, it's logical to say, hey, we're going to shut down all non-essential commerce so that this virus, like the spread of this virus slows. Does Dennis Prager think that the virus is going to keep spreading if they close this all down? I mean, that would make sense with his worldview, but, like, I don't think he's actually arguing that. But what he is arguing is that, like, well, the scientists are saying that, this is how it spreads, and I believe it that in that sense, but I don't believe that we should lock down because it would hurt businesses. Hey, Dennis Prager, you know what also hurts businesses? When 6 million people in this country die from a preventable pandemic. That also hurts businesses. Anyway, let's continue.
We're told, oh, don't have more than 2 households, and I think up to 8 people. I think, was that right? 8 people? 10 people? Fine, maybe 10. Okay. So needless to say, I pay no regard to it. I've paid no regard to any of these things from the beginning. And I was right from the beginning, as history has borne me out. And not just me. I'm not the only one to state that the cure, quote unquote, has been worse than the disease.
Keltoy the Seventh, like, you're wrong in a lot of different ways in all of, like, the race science that you're putting in chat. I just want you to know that. And I find it very weird and troubling how obsessed with, like, race you are, but also how obsessed you are with race in, like, a way that seems deeply incorrect. But I digress.
So I will be having in my house as many people. It's my wife's family, because my family is elsewhere in the country, and her family and friends of her family, the same exact number as last year. And that includes my mother-in-law, who's approaching 80 years of age, and she's a doctor herself, and she's coming. And that's the way we assume. First of all, ironically, the ill effects of not having a Thanksgiving on people's psyche, emotional makeup, and therefore health are, in my opinion, much greater than the risks.
Keltoy, are you a race realist? Just tell me that up front.
Of having a Thanksgiving. I am amazed that 95% of Americans, maybe more, don't know how minuscule the risk.
Okay, then why are you so obsessed with race? Most people aren't this obsessed with race.
Is to them from COVID. That unless you're quite old, and that's not enough, quite old and have a compromised immune system, the chances of your dying from COVID are infinitesimally small. They're 0.0 something percent. 0.00 perhaps. I don't remember, it's 0.0.
No, you're actually Dennis Prager. Your 80-year-old mom has about I think like a 6 to 7% chance of dying if she gets COVID. But good for you, I guess. I'm glad you're going to have a good Thanksgiving, Dennis Prager.
something or 0.00 something. I know there's a big difference, but it's still, we're talking about very small fractions. And that young people are afraid is particularly an ode to education's not fostering the ability to critically think with reason.
Dennis Prager, young people have had their lungs permanently scarred, their hearts permanently injured, and their brains permanently aged by a decade or more by COVID-19. Don't fucking give me this weak ass shit that, like, oh, young people just can't think critically anymore. We know more about it than you do. You're willing to kill your entire family. I'm speechless.
This is a very scary thing that you could go to elementary school, high school, college, and graduate school and almost be taught not to think clearly. Wouldn't you think that everybody would simply weigh the risk? This is my risk. Let me ask you something. Would people have gone to Thanksgiving dinner if every year all the media spoke about was the number of people who die in car crashes or paralyzed in car crashes on their way to Thanksgiving dinner? Right? I mean, wouldn't that have a salutary...
It's not the same thing, Dennis Prager. Car crashes aren't fucking contagious, Dennis Prager. The big-brainedness of PragerU really comes to a head in these talks.
effect there, or a sobering effect to be more precise. So I have announced over and over to the governor of my state, the mayor of my city, I am having as many people as every Thanksgiving. You know where I live. Please send somebody to arrest me. Or all of us. I guess all of us would be arrested. Yeah, but I'm happy to be arrested on behalf of everybody coming.
I would pay so much money to see photographs and video of Dennis Prager and his family getting arrested. I would pay so much money that I don't have. Matt Zane, thank you very much for hitting that follow button, comrade. I appreciate it immensely.
I have chosen to live, and I do not sacrifice my happiness. I do not sacrifice the quality of my life, and I certainly won't sacrifice Thanksgiving on the altar of safety. Better safe than sorry is not my motto in life. Better live life fully and take rational risks. I don't take irrational risks. I don't take a motorcycle. Well, actually, a motorcycle anywhere is almost a risk. But, I don't do Evel Knievel jumps on motorcycles across the Grand Canyon. That kind of risk. I mean, to each his own, but it's not my kind of risk. And I wear a seatbelt in the car every time I enter a car. I don't believe that nothing bad can happen to me. That's not the way I think.
I don't know. Everything else about this Dennis Prager seems to indicate that you don't think anything bad is going to happen to you as a result of this disease. But, okay, whatever.
But I do think that I want to live fully. And what if next Thanksgiving they say the same thing? Because not enough people got a vaccine in their view. What, are you going to have no Thanksgivings and no Christmases for 2 years in a row?
Yeah, don't have Thanksgiving or Christmas for 2 years in a row unless it's relatively safe to do so. Yeah. Is that really such a big thing to give up, Dennis Prager? Is that really such a big thing to give up? I don't understand these people who act like the only thing that they have to live for in life is seeing their family in person on holidays. I understand that these are long-standing traditions, but skip your fucking traditions if you're going to put your family at risk.
Look, if you are 80 years old and you have congestive heart problems...
Yeah, I know they're important, but you know what's more important than your traditions? Keeping your family alive and healthy. Like, I have 6 aunts and uncles. I have a couple grandparents still left or there are a couple grandparents still left who come to these gatherings. There are cousins and grandkids from these six. Like, if I went to a family gathering, right, guys, it would have somewhere around like 50-ish people at our normal traditional gatherings. Do I really want to take the chance that, like, if one of us has COVID and all of us get it over the course of that holiday celebration, that one person in my family might die? I don't want to take that risk. I don't want to be responsible for that. I love my family. I guess Dennis Prager does not love his family if he's willing to put them at risk.
Especially lung issues. I understand why you would think twice about attending a Thanksgiving dinner. I'm not a radical on this, actually a centrist. The radicals are the people who say don't get together. So I understand why some people would not do that. It would take, for me, it would take a massive, massive amount of immunological compromise for me not to attend Thanksgiving with family or friends.
Howdy, Taco Cat.
I chose very early in life to live life fully with various risks. I remember in my 20s, I visited Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Egypt, and it was not the safest place to go, especially for a Jew, and especially in that case, Syria. And to my father's great credit, I'll never forget, in general, he said about my travels, which were often to, they weren't exactly to the Riviera. And he said, Dennis, you're only young once. And it was such an encouraging statement from my father. Live life fully. Now, and he was right. You are only young once. You're only middle-aged once. You're only old once. You're only here once. So how are you going to live? This is 8 months.
I really want to know what Dennis Prager's definition of living fully is, because so far it only includes some light travel in the Middle East and endangering your family during the one Thanksgiving that has happened in your lifetime that is during a pandemic.
Months of compromised living on people. There are people who've stayed in their apartments for all this time with kids. And then, it's interesting, isn't it, by the way, that the only organized opposition has come from religious people, religious Jews, and religious Christians. It's one of the many, many, many reasons that the left makes me more religious. The only organized opposition to leftist totalitarianism is religion. 10,000.
Fuck. No, it's because religious people, A, have been radicalized by the Trump administration when it comes to evangelical Christians, so they fanatically believe what he says, and B, people are upset that they can't go to their churches on Sundays or Saturdays, or their synagogues to worship, or their gosh. I had a brain fart. I can't remember. They're mosques. Thank you. There we go. They're upset about that because it's important to them. But you know what should be more important to you when you're worshiping a supposedly omnipotent deity? Keeping your fellow believers safe. If your God is omnipotent, it's okay. He gets it. You can meet him anywhere. You don't need to go to large church gatherings. You can go to Bible study, small Bible study, small Torah study. You can do these things. Insisting that you need to gather en masse, I think that is an incredibly, incredibly entitled thing to do in the middle of a historic pandemic that has killed more people, twice as many people as we had die in World War I. Yeah, I think that's incredibly entitled.
Ultra-Orthodox Jews in Brooklyn, 10,000 got together for a big rabbi's kid's wedding. And it was word of mouth, so the city didn't know. It was too late. They had already gathered. 10,000. And the churches who just, have thousands who come.
Yeah, 10,000 people. He's like, haha, isn't that great? If even like a significant portion of those people had got infected with COVID by going to that event, it has the potential to kill like thousands of people in the wider area because of that event taking place. One of the reasons the Midwest is getting hit so hard by the pandemic now is because a bunch of people who are living life fully decided to participate in the Sturgis Motor Rally. And they drove across the Midwest. And they spread it across the Midwest. Most of the big outbreaks here have been traced back to the Sturgis Motor Rally. Dennis Prager, what do you say when living your life fully puts other people at risk? I don't hear these conservatives talking about that unless their attitude is mostly just, well, fuck other people. I'm living my life how I want to. In that case, I mean, okay, but understand you're an evil sociopath.
And these people don't want to die. They don't believe God will protect them from death. But religious people seem to be more rational than secular people in these matters. Isn't that interesting? Because you're taught that the religion...
William of Orange, are you trying to equivocate a historic pandemic with other infectious diseases that we have treatments for and adequate medical space for? Because if so, I think that's an incredibly stupid argument that you might want to drop now. Yeah, historic. Twice as many people as died in World War I have died because of this specific illness. Yeah, it's a historic pandemic, the likes of which we haven't seen in a century. When I say historic, I mean it. We haven't seen something similar to this in scale or scope or depth in a century here.
Religious are the irrational crowd. Turns out, though, on the major issues of life, the religious turn out to be the most rational, the least scared. It's something to think about. So I hope you get together with people for Thanksgiving. I really do. The left is doing a real job on Thanksgiving. You shouldn't have it this year.
It's not a stupid argument. I'm not dropping it. If 40,000 people die per year from flu and you're allegedly a sociopath for going on your daily life for... Okay, what if on top of that there is 250,000 plus people that you could save by wearing a mask? We have treatments for the flu. We have treatments for these other diseases. We have very effective ones. Trying to equivocate the current pandemic, which is many times more lethal than the common flu, to the common... That is incredibly a big-brained argument. When you're saying that a historic pandemic that is exponentially larger than the flu is the same as the flu, I think that that is a stupid argument. It's a stupid and callous argument. And it's one that you should be ashamed of making. Yeah, we knew at the beginning, or relatively close to the beginning, what we could do to contain this tragedy, and we didn't do it. And to now say that 250,000 people's lives didn't matter, that they were... in some sense, like, oh, well, it had to happen. To say that this is not the result of some sort of extraordinary apathy on the part of our leadership, I think that's incredibly, incredibly offensive and lazy. And William of Orange, like, if you're still watching right now, like, I'm kind of ashamed that you would even make that argument. I thought better of you. So I would say take this time that you have been put on timeout to rethink your position, because again, this is 250,000 plus people, a number that is going to rapidly climb in the coming 2 weeks. And it's going to kill a lot more people. You know, maybe there is a good argument to be made that we should have been wearing masks earlier. But I think that we as a nation had come to an agreement that, hey, whatever, we're not going to wear masks for like the common cold or the flu or whatever. I think saying that that same sort of logic should apply to another disease that has killed, what, we, assuming your numbers were accurate, 40,000 people this year, versus the 250,000 people who have died this year. And I think that that number is actually outdated. What is the COVID death total at right now? Oh, sorry, 275,000 people. We're inching up there down. We're now inching up there to 300,000. Yeah, so I am just infuriated at the people who equivocate this argument. And on top of that, the flu isn't exponentially increasing in how many people it's infecting because we have treatments for the flu. It's not a disease that it threatens to wipe out 6 million people in this country if left unchecked. And I think, again, equivocating these two things is incredibly intellectually dishonest. Now, maybe you can make the argument that we should have been wearing masks for the flu. Maybe. But I think it is not the same as saying that during a historic pandemic that threatens to kill millions of people in the United States, that we should wear masks under those conditions. I don't think that's remotely the same. I heard there's a good chance before winter more Americans will have died to COVID than in both World War I and World War II combined. We'll see. What are World War II deaths? Yeah, so in the United States, we had around 416,000 deaths from during World War II. So right now we're getting close to about 3 World War I's worth of people being dead. We're getting close to that number. And then once we clear 3 World War I's, then we're almost going to be in the ballpark of, you know, a World War II type territory. So we'll see. We'll see. I think that this is, again, I need to emphasize, comparing this to the flu is incredibly fucked. Incredibly fucked up. And saying that, oh, if you didn't wear a mask for the flu, you know, you shouldn't be forced to wear a mask for this thing that's killed almost 300,000 people. No, that's a shitty argument, and you should be ashamed of trying to make it.
Because you'll die, or you'll have somebody else die. And now for a number of years they've been attacking Thanksgiving as a celebration of white supremacy. In this case, not over blacks, but over the Native American. So I read an article in Gizmodo, a big tech left-wing magazine online, where the writer said we should no longer have the big Christmas tree at Rockefeller Center because it doesn't belong there. This is an example of our meddling with nature. The tree itself came from Norway and should have stayed in Norway. I mean, it's a big part of the left, not liberals, but I always make the distinction, a big part of the left is truly an aversion to joy. That's why I've never met a happy leftist. I've met happy liberals, happy conservatives, but I've...
My dude, you must have met us in the middle of leftist infighting. That's the only explanation. Most lefties I know are pretty chill, pretty cool. We just tend to be angry because we see a lot of injustice in our world. You tend to benefit from that injustice, Dennis Prager, which is why you're pretty lackadaisical when it comes to certain elements of your life.
I've never met a happy leftist. How could they be? Everything that brings you joy, there's something wrong with it. Right? There's always something wrong. These are fundamentalists of a very severe variety.
Again, you can enjoy something while critiquing it. You can do both at the same time. I say this as a critic. I literally made my living as a critic. You can enjoy something immensely and still criticize it. It's not that hard to understand.
It's like it used to be a lot of religious people said that, oh, you're having too much fun. It's not godly. So this has shifted over to the left. You're having too much fun. It's bad for the environment, or it's bad for COVID.
Wait, is he saying that religious people don't judge like non-religious people for like having too much sex or something? Because I feel like that definitely still happens.
Or it's bad for, and then you just fill in the blank what it's bad for. You know, they took away, they dropped, this was so symbolic. I haven't seen the Miss America competition since I was living in my parents' house in high school. They used to love watching it. And so I don't have any axe to grind here, but it was very interesting to me when they dropped the swimsuit competition. Again, it was a perfect example of, well, you know, this time you're having too much fun with the swimsuit competition. It renders women sex objects. So for all these years, religious America was capable of seeing women in swimsuits, but the secular left, they're offended by it. In other words, almost every...
No, we're not offended by it, you absolute buffoon. The issue was that instead of being judged as women, they were being judged for their, like, bodies, and that's pretty fucking weird, right? Like, I understand it's the Miss America competition, but, like, having women like, mostly naked women undress on television for, like, all ages is just like a weird way of like letting conservatives like masturbate in an acceptable way. I don't know. This is weird. The American right is really weird when it comes to women.
Thing that brings people fun and joy and so on is sinful. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. You got a lot of fun and joy out of those women in bikinis, didn't you, Dennis Prager? Got a lot of fun and joy out of those rippling ab muscles they had, didn't you, Dennis Prager? You dirty, dirty boy.
You're meat eating. You're destroying the environment. You enjoy having a home.
Okay, again, if you're eating meat, you're not destroying the environment. You are participating in a system that hurts the environment. Recognizing that we live in systems that cause pain and suffering to other people. This is just living responsibly. This is understanding the impact your decisions have on the world. Dennis Prager wants you to live a blissful, ignorant life. That's how he lives his best life.
You should be in an apartment. You enjoy a car, you should be on a bicycle. It's a cult.
Again, understanding that we participate in systems that cause harm to others is part of being a responsible adult. Dennis Prager doesn't want you to think about the harm that you might cause to society. He just wants you to be a sheep that doesn't understand how the universe works. He wants you to think of yourself as an individual and that your consequences have no like your actions have no consequences in the wider world. That's basically what Dennis Prager wants. Unfortunately, the world doesn't work that way, as much as Dennis Prager would like it to.
And the proof that it's a cult is that if you leave the cult, they drop all contact with you. That's one of the defining elements of cults. That you don't even talk to your parents if they're not a member of the cult.
I like how he is redefining this as a cult, as if children are breaking off contact with their parents because their parents refuse to ride bicycles instead of drive cars, or like their parents refuse to become vegetarians, or like, this isn't why children break off contact with their conservative parents. Children are breaking off contact with their conservative parents because their conservative parents are talking about, like, how there is a deep state conspiracy to stop Hillary Clinton from drinking the blood of children, and the adrenochromes, and the deep state. And also, there's some sort of satanic pedophilia ring involved somehow. And also, the Democrats are rigging all of the elections somehow, but not the Senate or House ones, just the presidential elections. And also, on top of that, it's actually good to discriminate by a race, or it's actually good to kick trans people out of the military. Yeah, it's actually good to discriminate against the gays. These are why children are cutting off their parents. It's not because their parents refuse to ride bikes. It's not because their parents refuse to become vegetarians. It's not because of any of that stuff. And so Dennis Prager's framing here is incredibly disingenuous. My dad jerked off to Miss America, and now I'm never talking to him again. Oh no. Oh, that would be a horrifying, horrifying moment.
So it's a beautiful holiday, Thanksgiving. It's one of the most beautiful things we have ever had in America. It was made a national holiday by Abraham Lincoln after the Civil War, a day to thank God for the end of war and for all the black.
Yeah, you know what, though? You know what? I personally prefer the holiday that predated Thanksgiving. Do you guys know what that is? We had a holiday celebrated on the exact same day as Thanksgiving that Abraham Lincoln replaced with Thanksgiving. That holiday was called Evacuation Day, and it was a day celebrating the last day the British had like their feet on American soil. It was celebrated since the Revolutionary War, all the way up until Abraham Lincoln said, "This is Thanksgiving now." And you know what? I think we should go back to celebrating Evacuation Day, when we chase those redcoats back into the sea. Okay, I think that would make a much better holiday, much less controversial when it comes to Native American rights. And hey, we can also celebrate along with our Native American friends, our indigenous friends, because hey, a lot of them helped us make that possible. So yeah. And we can all rally together and say as one, fuck Britbongers. They're very pompous with their accents. They're sexy, sexy accents. It's true. Fuck the British. It's a good point.
Blessings that we have in our lives. See, that's really awful, isn't it?
When you think about it, it's really a lot like Watchmen. You know, let's take this central problem that we have with Thanksgiving, and let's turn it into a teleporting spaghetti monster that everyone thinks is an alien, much like the British, and then we blow it up. Huzzah!
Tell me which type of home is going to raise a finer human being? The one that teaches Thanksgiving, giving thanks, or the one that doesn't? All right, time for your cue, as in questions.
Did you want to do that? Oh, this is my favorite. Okay, guys. We need to make sure that we're paying attention here. If any of the people who are asking questions are black or brown, or are from another country, Dennis Prager is going to say, like, wow, you speak English very well. He's going to say something along those lines, okay? I've seen it happen in numerous videos. I'm calling it right now. I'm going to be very disappointed if it doesn't happen.
Oh yeah, there's Megan that showed me an article in a local newspaper here. This is going to crack you up. Boulder crime happening in the area. Can you focus in on that? This is the local newspaper. Do you see it? So when Megan, of Megan's Arm, when Megan showed this to me, I thought, uh-oh, this is a local, well, it's a local paper, and I thought that's really problematic. Are we getting muggings now? Rape? What is happening? And it was about not everybody wearing masks. Boulder crime. What would they say?
I love how his response to this is, man, yeah, they were putting other people's lives at risk. Ridiculous.
If there was an increase in rape and beatings and muggings and armed robbery, there would be no language left. If some people not wearing masks is boulder crime, what language will we have for really bold crime?
Is he that uncreative that, like, I feel like we have stronger language for things like rape. I feel like our society has a lot of really strong language that we can pull out of the closet when it's time to talk about, like, murder or rape or sexual assault. Like, yeah, I feel like we have some stronger words to pull out than boulder.
All right, let's see what you have to say.
Hi, I'm Gabby, and I'm 18, and I'm from Washington, Ohio. My question is, should governors be allowed to dictate who, what, when, where, and how Thanksgiving is run? Because I don't think that's constitutional.
Well, bless you, Gabby. It's not only not constitutional, it's not legal, it's not constitutional, and it's not moral. And look, I just made the case. I want everybody to be with everybody. I haven't missed a weekend of Shabbat in my case, Sabbath dinner, since March, since the stuff started. It's been part of my sanity that I've been with people all the time. And I'm not 25 years old, but I want to live. The purpose of life, as I keep saying, is not to live long. The purpose is to live fully. And the joke is, if you live fully, you will live longer. That's the irony, because happy people live longer. I mean, that's a scientific fact. Listen, follow the science. So I'm with you, Gabby.
You know what? Know what doesn't care if you're happy or not? COVID-19. COVID-19 doesn't care if you're happy, Dennis Prager. Oh boy. All right. Let's I need to look this up real quick. Yeah, actually, the American Bar Association says that states can indeed adopt these emergency powers to restrict how many people are gathering. So, yeah, actually, Dennis Prager, the American Bar Association disagrees with you as to what is or is not acceptable for the government powers to do. All right. Good. Glad I cleared that up real quick. Yeah. As a growing number of governors have done in recent days, states can order residents to stay at home with exceptions for essential work, food, or other needs. The governor's orders, akin to shelter-in-place directives, affect tens of millions in affected states. Curfews are another tool they can impose. Yeah. They can constitutionally do these things.
Gabby, I don't understand where they got this power. And they don't. The truth, I don't know if they do even. They're telling you not to gather with more than 2 households. up to 10 people. But is that a law? Or is that, I don't even know what it is. It's a murky area, because I know there are sheriff's departments and others who in law enforcement say, what, you think we're going to arrest people for having Thanksgiving dinner with 12 people? Can you imagine if you were put in that position? I'll tell you what's really frightening. In Oregon, the governor of Oregon announced you should snitch on any family you know, on any household you know having more than X number. And there will be snitches. That's right. This is...
Oh, and for those of you who are unaware, what the American Bar Association is referring to are the legal limits on government actions during a health emergency, which is what we are under due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So, there you go. There you go.
This is what we've come to. It's a very sad realization to me that so many Americans have allowed their liberties to be so easily, radically curtailed. That the lack of pushback has been a sad thing for me to witness. Julius, 18, Sydney, Australia. Dennis, what do you think about the idea that Thanksgiving is based on colonization and genocide? Thank you for being such an inspiration. Well, Julius in Sydney, this shows you this stuff is international, or at least in the English-speaking world. Thanksgiving celebrates genocide? I mean, can't think of a more perverse comment. How does it possibly celebrate genocide? Because
Dennis Prager, consider who is giving thanks for this country. Is it A, colonizers, B, the colonized? Which of these do you think are celebrating Thanksgiving? I'll give you a hint. It's not indigenous people. It's not indigenous people.
The joke is the people who say that deny that there was even the Thanksgiving dinner between whites and Native Americans, which is, you know, the sort of legend that takes place. I think it's...
It's not true, though. That's the thing. If it were true, we would have been celebrating Thanksgiving since whenever that happened, right? Instead, Abraham Lincoln declared it in like the 1860s, and it replaced the holiday that we previously used to celebrate the retreat of the British from U.S. soil.
True. I don't know if it's true.
It's not. It's not true. Like the saccharine story of like a bunch of pilgrims sitting down and like eating with Native Americans on like a turkey Thanksgiving table. No, that's not true. Did pilgrims and indigenous people eat together? Yeah, that happened, but that happened all the time. Fuck. There wasn't like this one really awesome dinner that was called Thanksgiving, and Abraham Lincoln was just like, wow, I heard about this really awesome Thanksgiving meal that we had with Native Americans like 300 years ago. Let's have a holiday after that. No. God damn.
But it was, if anything, it's a celebration of the American Indian. It's not a celebration of the demise of the American Indian. This doesn't deny the horrors that were inflicted on Native Americans, the horrors that have been inflicted in every society by every newcomer in every society. This is the human condition. I'm not defending it. It's just a fact. But it's a very sad fact, and I agree.
Again, the legend of Thanksgiving is that white colonizers sat down with indigenous people that they soon turned into enemies and shoved off their land and eventually genocided the hell out of all of them. What about the story is good? Like, it was happening as they were already getting pushed off of land. Even in the legend.
American Indian got a really raw deal. That's correct. Has nothing to do with Thanksgiving. We give thanks for whatever we give thanks for. There's no reason to...
Okay, but then why does Thanksgiving have to be tied to the American mythos? Like, that's the thing. If it was really a holiday about just giving thanks, that would be fine. But that's not what is, like, integral to the Thanksgiving myth. Like, you even talk, like, He even talks about it right here. He talks about like how, well, I think it's true, Native Americans and Pilgrims coming together, and it was very nice. And like, if it's just about people getting together and giving thanks, then why does it need to be included in our mythos? Why can't it just be about giving thanks with no American connotation to it? But that's not how our Thanksgiving works, is it? Does it? Works differently than that. And I think, you would be hard-pressed to find Native Americans who are enthusiastic about Thanksgiving compared with your average white person. Just a thought. Like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Lost Sue or Lady Raincloud can come in and tell me that they secretly love Thanksgiving. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I don't think that's going to happen.
An Indian can't celebrate it. And many do, by the way. The left doesn't speak for the American Indian. The left opposed the Washington football team's name Redskins for years. It's racist, it's racist, it's racist. Then the Washington Post did a very, very complex study, involved study of American Indians' opinions on the name Washington Redskins. 90%, look it up, Washington Post, which led the crusade against the name Redskins. To their credit, they published the results. 90% of American Indians didn't give a hoot. Many of them thought it was a good thing.
Oh, weird. Here's an article from this year. In fact, from February of this year, from Berkeley, which you'll notice is like an actual academic institution. Washington Redskins name native mascots offend more than previously reported. Contrary to polls showing that relatively few Native Americans take offense at the Washington Redskins name, a new UC Berkeley study has found that at least half of more than 1,000 Native Americans surveyed are offended by the football team's 87-year-old moniker and Native mascots in general. The results are particularly timely in the face of Native American protests against the caricature of their culture, including the tomahawk chop performed by the Kansas City Chiefs, who won Sunday's Super Bowl, and other sports teams with Native American monikers. The study's findings, published in the Social, Psychological, and Personality, in the Journal of Social, Psychological, and Personality Science, show that the degree to which those surveyed identified as Native American influenced how offensive they found Native mascots. Of those polled for the study, 57% who strongly identify with being Native American and 67% of those who frequently engage in tribal cultural practices were found to be deeply insulted by the caricatures of Native American culture. Overall, the results suggest the controversy over the use of Native representations, such as chief headdresses, war cries, and tomahawk chop, is far from over. We keep seeing clear examples of Native people speaking up and protesting these problematic team mascots, yet public opinion polls with little methodological transparency say that Native people are not offended. Things just don't add up. Now, let's see. Okay, here you go. So, for example, a 2019 web-based survey of 500 self-identified Native Americans that was reported in the Washington Post found that 68% of those polled were not offended by the Washington Redskins name. Now, keep in mind, that we live in the United States, where like a ton of white people say that they have native ancestry, but are not exactly sure. You know, we'll call them Elizabeth Warrens. So you get what happens is in these web surveys of self-identified Native Americans, you get Elizabeth Warrens who come in who, for all intents and purposes, identify as white. And they're like, yes, I am Native American. I don't find this offensive because I like my sports ball team. That's basically it. It throws off the findings, which is why you should rely on academic studies, because academic studies actually have to control for those kinds of variables. They actually have to put together a study that is worthwhile.
And they dropped it anyway now more recently in the hysteria. You ought to think that you think you've accomplished something moral. Gee, what have you done with your life? Oh, I got the Redskins to change their name. You are one moral giant. Kate, 19, Cleveland, Ohio. Dennis, what is your favorite and least favorite holiday foods? My favorite is my mom's mashed potatoes, and my least favorite is fruitcake. Okay, so let me make an announcement. There is no human who likes fruitcake. That is just a fact of the human condition. This is what I have done for 20 years with the fruitcake that my employer at my radio show, my syndicated radio show, sends to the hosts every year, this fruitcake. First of all, let me just say this on behalf of fruitcake. Should there be a nuclear attack, it is good to have them around. They last forever. It is my theory that 20 years ago, my employer bought about 10,000 of these and has been giving them out each year. And they're just as fresh as the previous year. I never eat them. I feel it, and they're still soft. So you see, there is a use for fruitcake. Now, as to favorite foods, I don't have a favorite food. And I know that because I'm always asked my favorite cigar. And then I respond, what's your favorite food? And they go, well, I like a lot of foods. I like a lot of cigars. I like a lot of foods. However, having said that, the combination of turkey and cranberry sauce and then pumpkin pie, I believe that if you're really good, that's what they serve you upon arrival in heaven. And the beauty in heaven is nothing is fattening. So it's a bonus. Annalise, 20, Athens, Georgia. As Thanksgiving often marks the beginning of the Christmas season, Den? No, I don't care if you call me Den, but nobody calls me Den. Oh, it is Dennis, but you did a comma instead of the second N.
Oh, well.
Oh my God. Whoever typed this in, Megan. No, I know it's not you. I was just wanting to emphasize. Megan, let me just say something. Megan is the unbelievably irreplaceable producer of the Fireside Chat. I'm not joking. So to her parents, you did a damn good job. And there's always a little luck in the way kids turn out. So you had both. Anyway, that's what it has. Okay. It says Den, comma, I-S. So I wrote Den. Nobody calls me Den, and I was curious. Okay. So here we go again. As Thanksgiving often marks the beginning of the Christmas season, Dennis, what are your thoughts on generalizing happy holidays because Merry Christmas might offend those celebrating other holidays? I have written so much, and I have given talks on this, and I do it every year on my radio show. The inanity of thinking someone is offended by being wished Merry Christmas. There is something so narcissistic in anyone who is offended by Merry Christmas. You are the offender, the one who claims to be offended, not the one who says Merry Christmas. Christmas is not my religious holiday. I'm not Christian.
I find conservatives who get hung up on this very curious. Like, I don't think it's about not being offensive. I think it's just about including other religions. It's about being considerate. I don't think, like, Jewish people get upset for not being wished Happy Hanukkah or, I just say Happy Holidays because it's more inclusive. It's just as easy to say, and it conveys the spirit of the message without excluding any of these other groups. This is why retailers want their employees to say Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas. It's because it appeals to more people, and that means they can do more business. It's just a capitalist concern, and this is religion butting up against capitalism, but they like to frame it as an issue of, like, the left's war on Christmas. It's really not that complicated. It's just capitalism doing a capitalism, guys.
So what? I love Christmas. Love it. You know who wrote I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas? Do you know who wrote most of the classic Christmas songs in America? Jews. That's right. Including I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. It's a fascinating, look it up, Jews composing Christmas songs. And you see, I'll tell you why. Because American Jews in the 1930s, 1940s, 1950s celebrated America and celebrated the Christians of America because they knew.
Or, I'm going to go out on a limb here, or they knew that I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas might sell better in 1930s America than I'm Dreaming of a White Hanukkah. Just I'm gonna go out on a limb here. Just assuming what he said was true. Christmas music has much more money in it than Hanukkah music. That being said, I fully support Hanukkah music, but like, I think if you look back to like the 1930s, 1920s, 1940s, 1950s even, like, yeah, there's like, if we take what he said at face value, and yeah, most Christmas music's written by Jews or whatever. How fash was 1930s America in general? Well, it was fash enough that we had a Nazi party openly advocating for Nazism in America. So it was pretty fash. Yeah, maybe like happy Hanukkah music wouldn't have been selling very well in the 1930s. Just as a thought.
Knew how lucky they were to be in America. When Jews past the 60s drifted leftward is when all of a sudden Merry Christmas, not just Jews, but non-Christians or even Christians who want to be woke. Oh, Merry Christmas, not offensive, non-Christian.
I'm just going to let that sit.
Let me ask you something. If I say, if you go to Israel, you visit Israel, and they say to you Friday afternoon as the Sabbath is coming, Shabbat Shalom, which is what the Israelis say to each other, right? Sabbath peace, Shabbat Shalom. Are you offended? Is it non-Jew offended? Should Jews in Israel...
I mean, guys, I'm not gonna lie. I think our country hates Jewish people enough that if, like, you as a Jewish person just went up to, like, a stranger and said Shabbat Shalom, like, there's some sort of chance that they might do a hate crime against you. Like I'm not sure if you guys know this, but, like, Jewish people in America have more, like, what hate crimes done against them than any other minority group in the United States. And yeah, maybe this wouldn't be a good idea.
Israel not say Shabbat Shalom unless they know it's a Jew they're saying it to? It angers me, actually. It really does. I don't want to go to a holiday party. I want to go to a Christmas party. Holiday party means nothing. By the way, it's somewhat, they deny, oh, this is not anti-Christmas. Oh, really? Then why don't you call Halloween parties holiday parties?
Why? I am genuinely curious. Why does Dennis Prager's Jewish? I'm not sure why he's so invested in Christmas. I'm not, like, I understand there are a lot of Jews that celebrate Christmas, and that's totally cool. It's totally fine. But, like, he's angry on behalf of Christmas. And I find that very bizarre. Christmas will be fine whether or not people are, like, giddy about it.
You don't. You call it a Halloween party, don't you? Halloween is sacred. Christmas can be gotten rid of. It's symbolic of the decline of our society. What's our time? Cool. Logan, 25, Westminster, Colorado. Hello, Dennis, Otto, and Megan's arm. You know, you're getting up there. I mean, Otto is still...
Oh, no. I have a feeling this is written by, like, someone who's gay and doesn't want to be gay. Oh, no. I'm about to feel really bad, aren't I?
You know, second, but it's getting there. My question is about love. All right. I've always thought love is a feeling that you can't control, but I've heard some people say that love is a choice that you can control. I know that you've mentioned spouses should always work to earn each other's love. So I was wondering what your thoughts are on the matter. Thank you, and God bless you and all the PragerU patriots. Okay. So, by and large, love is it a feeling you can't control? Basically, you can only basically control actions. One of the basic moral tenets of my whole outlook on life is the difference between actions and feelings. Feelings are feelings, actions are actions. Bad feelings doesn't make you bad, good feelings doesn't make you good, good actions make you good, bad actions make you bad. That is the way it works. So it's very hard to control feelings, especially love. The power of love is actually It's incredible. It does. It actually physiologically takes you over. It is an amazing thing when you fall in love, and I don't know why one would want to control it unless.
Yeah, I mean, so far, I'm very surprised. He's following through on the swing. You know, he's coming down. He's hitting the ball. It seems to be going out of the park.
Obviously, it's not reciprocated, or it can't be.
Oh, I am sure somewhere in PragerU archives they have a video about how being gay is a choice, and that all of this goes like flying into the face of that video. But right now he's 100% thinking about like straight couples.
Acted on, and it's very hard to. What you have to do then, I mean, if you really want to lessen your feelings of love, is distance yourself from the love object, and hope that over time that dissipates. Anyway, love is a feeling that you can't control as a general rule. As regards spouses always working to earn the love of their spouse, which I deeply believe, you've quoted me correctly, that's a separate issue indeed. You can lose the love of your spouse, and the easiest way to do that is to take them for granted. It is harder to overcome being taken for granted in a marriage than it is to overcome infidelity. I rather my spouse commit an act of infidelity than take me for granted. I hope neither happens, but I've spoken to so many people on the radio, because I've done a male-female hour for so many years, and a lot of couples recover from the trauma of an infidelity. But I don't know if any couple recovers from the trauma of taking the other one for granted. There's a marital therapist, John, I don't remember his last name, in Seattle. He's regarded as the dean of marital scholars or therapists. He said there's only one thing a marriage cannot overcome, and that is contempt. And taking for granted is very similar to contempt. It's not the same. Contempt is even, I guess, more serious. But that's a bad one. So yes, you should always work. When you work to earn the love of your spouse, that means you don't take them for granted, and you don't have contempt for them. That's an important point.
Guys, I'm amazed. We went an entire minute without Dennis Prager saying something incredibly stupid or inaccurate. I'm amazed. I don't think this has ever happened in the multi-numbers of hours that I have watched his Fireside chats. I'm honestly stunned. Yeah. He's had 3 spouses. He's had a lot of experience with marriages falling apart. You know. Yeah. I mean, well, is it really surprising that his one good take contradicts all of his other bad takes? Yeah. He just had no great take. I give this one a stamp. Like this last one is love a feeling you can't control. A stamp of approval. This guy has a big dick, I can tell. If you're talking about Otto, I bet Otto has a giant dick. I'm not sure about Dennis Prager. Although in this scene, it looks like he's like getting some sort of pleasure out of this. Oh gosh.
Well, everybody, I hope you spend time on Thanksgiving.
They're big like Trumps.
More than somebody. With all the people that you can. Life is meant to be lived and not in fear. Happy Thanksgiving, and happy whatever you're celebrating or not anywhere in the world. I'm Dennis Prager.
I'm Dennis Prager. Good luck killing your families this year.